Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have a very special guest today, and I'm gonna explain a brief story before I introduce our amazing guest. When I was working for Google, Mo, remember I went to like Milton and I was doing a training and I was talking to one of the guys. I'm like, yo, we gotta play some bangers, bro. Like, stop playing this like country music or whatever. It was like some bad country music, mind you.
Why are you listening to country music?
He's like, not me, bro. The story. And then I remember he's like, so what do you want to play? It was the guy from Geek Squad. I'm like, yo, just play anything, man. He's like, have you heard of this new artist called Malachi? I'm like, nah, I haven't. I'm like, play some music. The first song I heard was Right Now. Instantly, I'm like, bro, put that song on replay. And I want to introduce Malachi, bro. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank
I've
you.
been listening to this amazing gentleman for like 2 years plus.
Appreciate
So
you.
welcome, bro.
Appreciate you. Thank you for having me. This is sick.
Yes, sir. So before we get started off, how about you tell everybody where they can follow you, where they can see and find your music and all that beautiful kind of stuff.
My main go-to right now is Instagram with at Malachi Sound. We got a lot of little sneak peeks of music coming up, and at the end of the year, we're gonna have a little surprise coming soon. So
Hey, I'm ready. I'm ready. Honestly, bro, I want to start off by first of all, I want to say I was reading one of the articles I think about Nuvo,
mm,
I think it was, and I think what captivated me the most about is your work ethic because you said, hold, on, I gotta look at that. You said you compare music to sports. It's almost like like you're trying to win that ring, it's wanting that championship. And I think reading that, I love that because to you, it's just like you want that number one record, you want that number one song, you want to ensure that when you're dropping a track that your viewers and everybody else loves it, and that's why I admire it. But do you want to talk about that, like how you got that yourself into that mindset?
yeah, man, I like to think of it as a sport. I mean, yeah, it's fun. That's the cherry on top. But I'd like to really take it serious, and I'm not making the music for fun. I'm actually trying to make a name for myself, right? A household name. And so, yeah, I like to think of everything that goes with it as like, okay, this is the career. This is where it needs to go. This is what I have to do in the background, just to progress and, get better with myself. So I think I like to think of it as a sport because it helps me, focus and, not lose sight of the main thing, the main vision. So,
That's dope. One question I actually has for you is, always when you're an artist, it's all about how you present yourself, right? You have a sound, you have music, you have originality, and you want to stand out as much as possible. The
mm,
funny thing is, when Osama told us about like you coming on the podcast, and I saw you, when I saw the Right Now cover art, literally
mm.
before like I even like attached two and two, I thought it was Maxwell or like Craig David, like
That's
For
funny.
anyone who doesn't know, like Maxwell and Craig David, like legendary R&B artists from like the late '90s to 2000s. So when I saw the cover art, I'm like, wait, we got Maxwell on the show.
Awesome.
I, had,
Yeah,
I had
I
to
love
look
that.
twice.
I love that.
But we speak about that, like the imaging and presenting yourself, and obviously trying to create a lane. What obviously I don't know if that was an influence, I would say, but like what
Mm.
influences you to make like you want to stand out as far as your artistry? Like who do you look to as far as presenting that image, artistry, and the public?
Honestly, that's a good question. Honestly, a lot of the time, it's just looking at fashion and looking at who's standing out in terms of what they wear and how they look. Like my favorite thing right now is all these Gunna outfits. You know how he just kills
So funny,
kills it right
so
now, right?
funny.
Um, but like that's his thing, right? And you look at that and you can't really put him with another person in terms of fashion, how he looks. So, with my hair going crazy right now, there's a lot of ways that I kind of try to stand out in terms of how I dress and how I look. And some days, I'm wearing all street gear, and then other days I'm looking presentable with like formal stuff. But I think that's kind of like the little thing that is about me is that there's two sides of me, and especially in the music, is where I can go into the hard trap stuff. I can go into the hard, hip hop stuff, and then I can go into the R&B, pop, and soul stuff. So yeah, I like to think of just being presentable and also with the streetwear kind of stuff to make intertwine in the two just to stand out.
It's kind of cool that you said that because like Osama, I didn't think about it till now. Like all the artists,
Mhm.
whether you're rap or R&B, whatever genre you have a budget obviously for clothing, and they spend so much money. So pretty much all the artists are known for having like crazy outfits from
They
different
they
fashion
gotta have that
institutes.
drip, bro.
But the
Yeah,
thing is, they don't really stand out, even though they're all wearing like over $50,000 outfits. But Gunna
yeah,
somehow was able to stand out because it's not that his outfits are bad or tacky. It's just the selection and like the fact that it's not like normal to our eyes. That's what
hmm
makes him stand out. So it's kind of cool how you
I,
said that. I didn't think about that till now.
yeah, I also believe that music and fashion go hand on hand. Like for example, like when you see music videos, right? Like the you want to ensure that you're obviously you guys as like all of us as creators, you specifically Malachi, when you're like talking about you want that fashion to represent your video because you're not gonna be wearing like sweatpants talking about like a song that talks about like I don't know making money. Like you obviously want that each scene has to have its own theme, right? And I
right.
believe that's what sometimes captivates me because I'm into fashion,
Mm.
not like I go to Zara, like I'm not buying anything like expensive. Like we're good. Like some
Mm.
like something like I have a jacket that I bought for like I think a bill 40,
Mm.
but that to me is just gonna stick with me for like 5 4 years, and I know it's gonna look good with my outfits.
Right,
And I
right.
believe even bro, look at all the artists like Drake, Travis Scott.
Yeah.
I don't know, like all these other artists I can't even name. I'm like it's early in the morning, but they all have their own unique
Ringo
fashion.
Starr.
But Gunna specifically, yeah,
Mm.
who?
I said Ringo Starr.
Oh, yeah,
All my
but
old heads don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't know. I think you guys, because I was reading like you have a lot of older influencers too, Malachi. Like you say, I thought like Mary J. Blige.
Oh yeah,
Hold on,
Queen.
you have a lot of like early like because I remember you were saying you would come back from school and you would like your dad would be like blasting music, and you said as a young kid that would influence you to like listen and like it kind of is that where it started? Would you say that's where it started for you to like your love for music and start to create music?
Absolutely. Yeah. Honestly, because I couldn't escape it. Everywhere I go, there was always music playing. So when I come home, my dad's
Who
blasting his reggae stuff and just a bunch of old '80s and '90s tracks. I couldn't escape it, so I just fell in love with it and pursued it after.
who would you say are your who would you say are your earlier influences like as a kid like you would remember like your dad would be playing these guys.
Earlier influences: Aaliyah, for sure. Usher, of course. Um, man, there's so many. It's and if we're gonna go down to the reggae stuff and just like Caribbean island stuff, we got Busy Signal, Movado, of course.
Yeah,
Uh,
Classic. Mavado's a classic.
there's just so much that it's like a melting pot of all this
of
music that
course,
we
of
had
course.
growing up, and
Which
it
part
was
of
such a good time for all that music, right?
which part of Toronto did you
Yeah.
grow up in?
What'd you say?
Which area of Toronto did you grow up in? Like which area do you
Oh,
originate from?
Saga.
Okay,
Saga.
Saga. And you know what's crazy? Like us growing up, especially in the 2000s, like you said, like your pops playing the radio, like the songs and everything, like that was in your ears.
Mm.
Radio was such a big influence on us growing up. Like we used to like drive around from city to city. Whatever was playing on the radio, that was it. Like there was no Spotify and everything. Like
Mm.
I want both of you guys to speak about like how big was radio to you as far as like that process of hearing all these sounds and these artists. Like that, like you said, that was like Usher, that was Aaliyah, like all these artists during that 2000 era. Like how big was that on yourself as an influence?
Tough question.
Yeah, radio was huge back then. It was my only way of getting to a hold of the music. Obviously, I was super young, so I wasn't able to get LimeWire at that time. Shout out to LimeWire. But it it was it was definitely the only way I could listen to the music because back then we didn't even have the iPods or anything to play like on selection unless you had CDs.
Yeah.
I think that was just the only way I could really get to a hold of the music. So basically, just filtering through different stations and seeing what I liked. And normally they would play that like one song that you like every hour, so I just wait on that every time.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I kind of agree with Malachi there because I remember like you would like there wasn't a lot of radio spots, mind you. There was like that one radio spot that would play that like the songs and like you have to go and wait for that song to be played, or if you missed it, you have no idea, right? Now you have like 92.5, 93.5, like 98.5, 98.7, the list goes on.
Yeah.
But before, I think radio is where you kind of fall in love with certain artists. Like for me, I kind of got introduced in a non-orthodox way because I would like when I grew up in Oakville, um, I had a lot of white neighbors. Like a lot of my white neighbors when I was playing with their kids would all be playing like Nickelback and like basketball, like always like a white music. I really got into
Yeah.
hip hop until I was older,
Right, right, right.
and it was because of my friend, like he showed me the Carter 2, and from there I just fell in love. I'm like, who is Lil Wayne? Like I need to like listen. and obviously at that time, Chris Brown and T Pain are like obviously my earlier influence. But I feel like yeah, that takes out one song. For example, like for me, I was talking about you, Malcolm. Like when I heard that first song right now, just like how versatile your sound is,
Mm.
and how like I like even your song, all your other songs. Excuse me, all your other songs such as "We Don't Mind" and like "I Got You" Out of the Beach. To me, they all sound different. It's like, for example, I know if I'm like driving alone, like listening to a vibe, like this song is like for this vibe. It's like 'cause I found a lot of artists, a lot of their sound sounds similar,
Mm.
but for you, you found a way to differentiate yourself
Mm.
from like even Toronto artists themselves who are coming up from Toronto. I feel like your sound is much more different. For example, I can hear one song, I would feel a different mood. Other people like the beat is the melody's kind of similar, the tempo is kind of similar, but for you, all those five songs which are top trending on Spotify, which are all live saved on my I'll even show you. They're all saved.
Yeah. Yeah, appreciate you.
Yeah. That's it. To me, I believe that's what Toronto artists have to do. And I feel like that, and I feel now for radio, if you can get put on the radio now, it's actually sick because now there's so many radio spots that are willing to like find fire music.
Yeah.
Before it's a lot harder because before, dude, there wasn't a lot of artists who were on. You were
Yeah.
lucky if you got art. Now, if you can get it,
Mhm.
you are like that means they believe in you in terms of you are their guy to like get people viewing your music,
Yeah.
their show and their music.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, especially nowadays where it's just like you have to pay. Some people have to pay to get that spot on radio, right? Like you know how much it costs? It's like $1 million just to get it to push from
Damn.
Canada to, and that's just like an understatement. That's just to get it to push from Canada to America, right? Like that. The biggest thing is how it goes is that we got to get it to Buffalo first, work its way down to New York. New
Uh-huh.
York is the big spot where we can get it to push to the Miamis, the LAs, you know. So it's there's a lot of work for Canadian artists to be able to get their music pushed down to the for the nation to hear, right? So
I have a question for you. So obviously, like I think a lot of us growing up, Toronto music was like not known for like no. It's not until Drake obviously had his like pop. So what? So when did you feel that Toronto music artists had it was like our time now for like people to hear our sound? When did you feel was for you? It's like was it like the 2010 era, 2020 era, 2015 era? Like when did you feel that now this is like Toronto artists are taking over?
probably summer 16. That's when
Summer 16. That was
it
a
started.
yeah.
That's when it started for sure. Because then we had the young Tory Lanes. Right then was when my producer, which is the one that produced "Say It," he
Oh really?
yeah that that
I think it's sick.
that record was already blowing up and it already made its way to America um, in 2016. So right when Summer 16 dropped and Tory Lanez and Drake had that little beef that they were doing for a bit, people
Mm-hmm.
started paying attention to the city and everyone was like, okay, now we're going to start flooding music, right? We had Preem, P. Rain start dropping some stuff too and make a name for himself. Um, yeah, there was just a whole bunch going on at that time.
Are there any artists at the moment? Like, are there any artists within Toronto or even within the states that you want to collab? Like certain songs that you, man, I want this artist to be with me. Like, who are five artists, hopefully, like for future upcoming projects you want to collab with that you have your eye on?
I love Bryson Tiller. I love,
You guys would sound nice. You and
oh
Bryson Tiller,
yeah,
that would actually be a fire track.
he's dope. He's dope. Ty Dolla Sign, of course. Breezy, of course. Party Next Door, and probably Post Malone. I think that's my.
I could see Party on the song right now. I don't know why. You just said Party, and I could see you in Party. Like if you guys did a collab album, I better be one of I better be in one of those music videos.
Yeah, yeah. I'll get you on that for sure. Um, Female artist, probably honorable mention to Summer Walker. She's unbelievable.
She had a fire career this past
Yeah,
year.
yeah. Oh yeah, she's great.
She's done really well for herself. Like I haven't really listened to a lot of her music, but she's done really well for herself.
Mhm.
You know, it's funny that you said that because R&B obviously like an R&B has an era.
Mhm.
It is something special in music.
Mhm.
Whether they sell a lot of records or not, it's a special time because every artist is standing on their own lane and they have something that's original and something that's going to relate, right? Because it's all about that emotional weight, vulnerability, and that depth.
Yeah.
Like it connects to the audience, right,
Yeah.
directly. Um, obviously people are saying that R&B kind of fell off and wasn't as popular during like the early 2010s,
Mm-hmm.
the late 2000s. But as of now, we have a new era with
Mm-hmm.
all these artists like Jane Aiko, Summer Walker, Giveon, like all these Daniel Caesar, like it's just nonstop, right? Her, like it's insane.
Yeah.
And the fact that you said Summer Walker, the funny about Summer Walker is like when she came out, people were comparing her to like. Actually, no, that was SZA. That's actually sorry about that.
Yeah.
People were comparing SZA to Erica Badu,
Mm-hmm.
but with Summer Walker, still like people kind of want to give her respect.
Mm-hmm.
But with this new album that she just released, man, talk about creating a narrative. Obviously, whether factual or true, but the narrative itself, the fact that I was able to sell the records opposed to the image, it's kind of what you want as an R&B artist. Obviously, the fact that like listen to my story, I have something to offer,
Mm-hmm.
and it related to such an emotional, vulnerable crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, showed in the results. So, kind of speak about that, the importance of songwriting, crafting, and then making sure that every song that you make connects to someone. And obviously, if you do it well in terms of an EP or an album, you have the chance to actually change or create a pathway in R&B, right? You're able to stand out. Speak about that.
I think songwriting is my biggest strength out of me. Um, the biggest thing is being able to tell that narrative, however you want to say it. Even if I wanted to say I'm walking to the bus stop, you have to give those little details of what you saw on the sidewalk, what you saw on the grass on your way to the bus stop. Was the bench rusty? Was it cold outside? I feel like there's a lot of ways that you can make a story interesting, even if the story itself isn't that interesting. I think there's a way that you can attach it and bring people into your little world that you made for yourself when you're songwriting. Um, the biggest thing is making it relatable, of course, and also having ways to say words without actually saying the word. There's a record um, off CLB that Drake said when he was saying the girls are in the bathroom that are doing something that is not Pepsi. Like he's saying, he's giving you
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
word,
yeah,
but
yeah.
without
Yeah.
giving you the word. Like it's just genius. There's ways that you have to use the songwriting and how you attack with your pen to pad. Um, yeah, I think that's my biggest thing for sure.
No, it's true. Like, yeah, obviously the amazing rappers like with Drake, and obviously people like Kendrick too. Like, top of the morning, top of the morning, top of the morning. Like, it doesn't matter like how it doesn't matter how the lyrics appear. It's how you use the words. Obviously, to your advantage. That gives you that makes you stand out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess another question I have for you is, okay, you're an R&B artist. You make music. Obviously, you want to make sure people hear you and what you have to offer. As far as the songwriting aspect, what goes into it? Like, what goes from having the idea to completing the song and knowing that the song is complete? Like, walk us through that process. Because a lot of people just think like, oh, I could write a song,
Yeah.
sit down 20 minutes, and then just put it up on SoundCloud and stuff. Not saying that's bad, but obviously you have to evolve as an artist. Like, there's different elements that goes to it. So,
Yeah.
walk us through the elements that goes into songwriting.
Uh, no song is ever really finished. It's almost just to the point where you accept everything that it is, and there's no things you really want to change. There may be like minor details, but once you feel like comfortable listening to a song from start to finish, I think that when there's not really many notes that you can really say on the record. I think that's when you realize that it's finished, and when you start showing other people,
Mhm.
and then they start saying, "Oh my God!" Like if there's just a moment where you're like, "Okay, there's not really much I can really, you know, push more than this." I think that's when you realize that it's done, and you also have to like the record. Like I feel like some people just like you're saying on SoundCloud, they just drop whatever they did. It's not mixed, it's not mastered. They just kind of just throw it in, right? But yeah, I feel like you have to know when there's not really many notes that you can put on the record to say like, okay, this should have been changed, this should be done.
It's kind of weird. It's actually amazing how you said that. Like, no song is ever finished.
Mm-hmm.
It's an amazing concept because I used to think about Michael Jackson, and Michael Jackson was notoriously known for like working on a song, doing thousands of takes, a lot of overdubbings as far as the vocals and changing the arrangements and everything. Like
Mm-hmm.
a song like Billie Jean Osama, if you listen to the amount of takes that Michael Jackson did as far as production, the vocals and
Mhm.
arrangements, it is incredible. That is the reason why it's one of the greatest songs of all time.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side, an artist like Prince on the other side has a different tactic. Once he works on a song, He's even go back and listen to it. He's on to the next thing.
Mhm.
So with Prince, his musicality and genius as well. Like for him, it's just like I don't want to rework the song as much because I feel
Yeah.
like once I do it, it's done. I'm on to the next thing.
Mhm.
So you see the kind of difference in the two philosophies.
Yeah,
You kind of said you kind of on the first one, right? Sorry for my voice.
that's not good.
I was outside, but you kind of see the difference in the two philosophies. Like one's like very self perfectionist, and one's like, hey, just creative, let it go.
Yeah,
Do you see yourself being both, or you prefer one over the other?
I think with singing, I'm like the perfectionist, and then when it comes to like the hip hop and rap, it's more free fall, where it's more like you could just throw it out, like kind of like Future, where he is able to, just like with Future being the in the Prince mindset, where he's already on to the next thing by the time he's finished his
Yeah,
record.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I
but
see that.
but then there's the Drake side of it, which is the Michael Jackson side, where he's perfectionist. He's gonna take a bunch of takes, you know. When it comes to singing, I'm definitely the perfectionist side, and then when it comes to rapping, I'm definitely just like on to the next thing. We can find something more, right? But like I said earlier, there's no songs ever really finished. It's just when you accept it and you're able to give it to the world and let them hear it.
Well, your debut single was right now, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
How did that come about? Like, for example, like the writing process to you. Like, did you get like after you were finished it? Did you like ask people to listen to it? Like, did someone tell you like you love a song, this song's gonna do well for you? Because I think it did really. It did like for a debut, it did really good for you.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was huge. I loved
So
it.
what's the backstory about right now?
Right now was that was when did I write that? I wrote that I think in 2017, end of 2017, going into 2018, and
Really?
I was going through a breakup and was just meeting this new girl. I was just meeting this new girl, and I remember being like, all right, well, like, are we a thing? Are we like, I don't know if I'm jumping back into a relationship, but like, you can get it right now. Like, if this is it, like, if we're gonna do it, then let's do
Yeah.
it now. So I know that that was a whole process with me emotionally and mentally, just coming back off the rebound and jumping back on my feet again. So that was a big record for it to be the first. Um, Writing it was definitely easy once I got into the once I got into my little head and thinking about the emotional stuff that came with it. I think it was just it was just effortless at that point. I was able to just put pen to pad on how I was feeling and what was going on with the situation because it was a real story. So it's pretty good.
Another thing I wanted to ask you was like also with R&B, especially right now, like vulnerability is the one thing that's really hot right now. And obviously, it's a choice if you want to do it or not. There's two things, like two pathways. Either you can have people that write for you and you use that material to sing it over it, or you can make it yourself. How important is it to you that like the stuff that you sing and obviously give to your audience and your fans is that you write it? Number one, and I guess number two, like, is there any like off limits to songs that you want to write as far as like your life story? You feel that's comfortable, like maybe might hurt someone that's close to the situation or not?
That's a good question. I think
Bare voice cracks.
no, it's not good. Um, I'm not against other people writing for me. I just have to definitely be 100% behind the message that it's bringing. Um,
Hmm.
for the majority, I write all my like for right now in this moment in time. Everything I've written is everything that's come out is everything that I've written. But I'm not against the opportunity for people to write music for me or anything. But I'd have to stand behind the message. So that's for the first one. Second one, I don't think there's much that I could that's off limits. Um, except for like just like the obvious things like cancel culture watching. um,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I think there's not a whole lot that I can share of my life that would be terrible to anybody or hurt anyone's feelings. I think especially when it's true and everything is true to myself. I think everyone would accept it
Yeah.
and understand.
I want to add on. Yeah. I want to add on to what you just said because I feel speaking about cancel culture. I think music and like comedy is the new form of news. Because a lot of times you connect with an artist because he went through a certain similar situation, and you're like, I connect with that. And then the way he's expressing himself, you're like, I actually feel that. Because sometimes a lot of the people think about writers is they're able to find a way. As you said, you know how sometimes certain artists will say something indirectly,
Hmm.
like about you said that reference from CLB, and a lot of artists who like also like for example myself and Mo over here, we also write. I'm gonna expose this for a second, but like I'm not a good singer. Nor I just like sometimes writing like how I feel in certain
Osama
situations.
got joints, man. Osama got
Yeah.
I
joints.
don't got
Yo,
joints, but
stay
listen,
tuned.
I
Stay
don't got
tuned.
Yeah.
joints.
When I first,
Rely.
when I first, when I first met Osama back in 2001,
Yeah.
this man was outside of Toyota Camry bumping Garth Brooks, bro. Bumping it
Jeez.
down the block, bro.
I,
What
Oh
a
my god.
man loves a woman. Like, bro, he was on that early, bro. He was on that early. And I know that's not Garth Brooks. That's someone else, too. Damn, I got the artist name. But either way, same genre.
I love it. I love it.
Don't kill me.
I gotta hear
Listen, man, we're not exposed. This guy's coming. I can't sing, bro. I do. I'll say one thing about. Just go back to my original point. This
it.
moment made me laugh. Writing is such a beautiful thing because I feel a lot of people get offended. In my head, I'm like, you have to like take a step back and listen where the artist is coming from because you can't handle something for how you feel or how. Like, for example, like to me, as I mentioned, comedy and music are the one ways where like those like comedians and musicians come to a certain place. Like for example, like if you go back to certain like Lil Wayne songs of him talking about certain stuff, I guarantee if it came out now in this age, it would probably get canceled because like of the things that he's saying.
Mm.
But if you actually take the time to listen to what he's trying to say and the message he's trying to preach, you'd
Mhm.
be like, oh wow, he went through a lot, right? And I feel like
Right.
musicians have this. I don't want to. I don't want to say a scapegoat, but you have this. I guess freedom sometimes. Like this is how I feel, and they know their fans. Because at the end of the day, you're making the songs for Malachi fans, hopefully potential fans, people who don't like your. I remember I told this to one person, to one of my friends who's an artist, upcoming artist, and I told him, stop worrying about people who don't like your music. You're not making music for them. You're making music for people who do like your music. I'm
Yeah.
like, if someone's gonna waste their time listening to your music and hating on it, they're giving you more views, bro. So allow that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I
How
agree.
since speaking of which, how do you deal with haters then? Like people like I'm assuming you probably gotten DMs like yo bro your music is trash or like how do you deal with that? Like what's your message to these young artists? Like how do you deal with that?
You can't take yourself too seriously. I mean, I can't. It's just gonna come with it. It comes with the territory. Um, honestly,
Have you
it's
ever responded?
yeah. I've responded. I've definitely said.
Yeah, you gotta respond. You gotta
Honestly,
respond to
it's
one
just
guy.
on some like
So that one person.
it's
Has
like
that one person ever tweeted you like yo I'm responding to this guy, bro?
I know I will too, bro. I gotta
yeah.
snap,
There was
bro.
one. I had one comment. I think there was one comment on. I think it was the Right Now music video where this guy's like, what did he say? He said because of my hair, I look like a car wash car wash for car washer or whatever, something like that.
Uh,
I was like, come on, man, are you crazy? But um, no, you can't take yourself too seriously. I think that's when it gets into the point of, you're gonna start feeling, upset about seeing these messages. I like it. I think, me having your name in my mouth, having my name in your mouth is only doing me better. So whether it's hate, whether it's
Yeah,
love, it's gonna come with the territory. You have to accept it, and it's just how it
you
is.
definitely
So
need thick skin.
anything,
You definitely need thick skin.
yeah.
yeah,
Osama always says that like
yeah,
if like the love is gonna come with the hate, and if you cannot accept the hate, then obviously you're not gonna accept everything that's gonna come with it because if people are talking about you, like content is king right now on social media, right? So if people are willing to tweet about your music, how much they dislike it, at the end of the day, it's getting traction,
mhm.
and people are gonna see it. Like you know what? Let me listen
Yeah,
to him. So it definitely works.
And what's funny is that it's not
absolutely. I think that
like the
yeah.
music shit and music stuff, and and just what comes with fame and success is it's not for everybody. Not a lot of people can mentally go through all that stuff, right? It's stressful. There's a lot that comes with it, but yeah, you have to have thick skin. You have to have your head up and chin high so you can keep going and go forward.
Well, I think with your mentality, which kind of drives me to my next question. I think with your mentality, because like you, as you said in the beginning earlier on this podcast, you were saying like you treat it as a sport. You want to win that ring. So I think with that, you don't care what people say. Because at the end of the day, if once you treat it as a sport, you want to win that ring, you're gonna have haters. And at the end of the day, the more you win, the more haters you get. Which kind of gets me to like I guess two questions. One, my question is like how is like how do you treat like when you enter the studio like do you have people do you have people there? Are you on your own? How do you decide like I'm gonna make an album make a song? Like, what's your process of it going? Because obviously, every artist has their own process, but what's your specific process in terms of creating that like that next banger, mind you?
Hmm. Creative. No, what's funny is that I never, whenever I'm making music, I never think of like, oh, this is gonna be the one. This is gonna be it. This is the next thing. Because
Hmm.
you know, it's always the record that I didn't think right now was gonna be my debut single, nor did I think it was gonna do so well. I just I had another one that was supposed to replace that one. So I never thought that that was gonna
Hmm.
be the record, right? I never thought of it
Yeah,
as like, okay, this is gonna be the big record. But in terms of just making the music, it just comes and goes. Like we take ideas that I've written, and when we try and push it into the studio and try and make it bigger than what it is, and um,
yeah.
see what
Do
people how people react to it.
you go?
And
Do
that's
you
what I
have
like. It's
friends of
organic,
yours that? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Go on, go on. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Oh wait, is
Can you still hear us?
No, he's still
oh,
there.
okay.
Don't worry, we'll chop this part out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was saying, yeah, yeah.
I saw
You're
like
saying
your screen. Like I don't see.
who cares? But can you
I
hear
don't
me?
see your screen.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
hear you.
Then just continue, bro. Relax. But I was gonna say, you were saying it's organic.
Yeah, it's organic. We're not forcing anything. It's like people are gonna either accept the music and like it, or they're not gonna like it. And um, what I like to think is that I'm making the music for, like we said earlier, my fans and how I think the fans would enjoy it. Anybody else is not
Hmm.
part of the conversation.
I
One
guess
thing I wanted to
yeah.
ask, like you said, fame is not for everyone. You said fame is not for everyone, right? And obviously that shows like how some artists are able to handle it, and some artists are not due to the pitfalls that comes with it.
Mhm.
As we all know, like one thing about this industry and other like very prominent industries like acting, the sports world, you're not gonna spend that much time with your friends and families, the ones that were with you when you came up.
Mhm.
So for some reason, they felt as if like you're not there for them. You kind of switched up, and they thought that you're not the same person as before.
Mhm.
How do you have you gone through that already, and how do you deal with that dynamic, knowing that it's not because I want to see you and stuff. Like I have to dedicate most of my time to this craft, and where I want to take it leaves me no time to actually like continue that relationship that we once had as before.
Yeah. Oh, I've definitely had that. I had a big talk with all my friends are everyone I consider family. So we all had a big talk one Christmas when Right Now was just about to come out. It was 2019 Christmas, or wait, 2019? No, 2018 going into 2019 Christmas. We had a big talk, big meeting, and just saying, hey, guess what? This is what's going to be going on. I'm going to have a busy couple of years ahead of me, and so don't don't think that I'm ghosting or anything like that. Obviously, I'm busy, and I'm gonna get back, and we're gonna talk it all out. So anything that anyone has to talk to me about, we all know it's family, it's love. If we ever get in a fight, we're brothers. So brothers fight, and yeah, they all understand what it is. My friends and my family, we all understand what it is. It's just a busy work life.
That's real. That's real. And I think I actually commend you on that because not enough people do that. So obviously that's why there's so much misconceptions about artists and the way they are, especially when you only hear one side from like those friends or family members and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you did that early before you're single, that's really commendable. I think other artists should take a lead because it just saves so much time and stress, right? Because like you said, you got out the way. Everyone knows he's on this. Respect either you respect it, or you don't respect
Yeah,
it. But either way, it doesn't mean that you don't have love for them
yeah,
in return, right? It's always gonna be there.
exactly.
It's always gonna be there. So I
But
like that, man.
Yeah,
Respect.
I also think if your friends like they mess with you, they believe in you, that they'll understand that you're willing to sacrifice certain stuff about the for example, like when you're taking that jump to that next step, your friends who actually love you and care for you, they're gonna understand. People who are selfish,
absolutely.
like, oh yo, bro, you don't see me, but like I'm trying to do this for us. Like this is like for me
This
and
is
us. Like you have to remember, like this is for so
yeah,
I can like one of your boys is now successful. Like now I can make you part of my entourage. Like because a lot of every
yeah,
creative artist thinks It's not for them. It's for the people who they're trying to do it for. For example, for us, me and you, Mo, I can speak for ourselves. We're doing it more than us. Like we have other plans. Obviously, for you, Malachi, you probably have your own vision as to why you want to be like. Hopefully, one day you'll be like the top artist in the world. Well, I would not want to be
Mhm.
with friends who are like, "Oh, bro, you don't see me no more." I'm like, "Nah, I'm much more busier now than I was
Yeah,
like when we first started this whole platform." And you don't want to be with those people because
yeah.
that's kind of a sign of insecurity. And I believe that, or then next year you might have to write a diss track about one of your friends.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think
you know,
yeah, it's friends. You gotta have real ones around you for that kind of conversation. So if they don't, if it's
I guess
a selfish thing, then maybe it's just meant to be. You know.
I guess it leads me to my last question, mind you. Do you have friends that you like before you drop a single? Do you have people that you go to that or like that you look up to? Like, I want you to hear this song. Let me know how you feel. Like, do you have those people who you go for and inquire for their opinion before you drop that track?
My cousin, my cousin and I grew up on all this stuff. So like, yeah, he's my
And you
go-to.
trust that?
He's like
Yeah.
my A&R, and I
Someone said the same thing, Osama. One of our guests said the exact same thing. Like he's an artist too.
yeah.
I think it was
Oh,
Henny. Like he went to his cousin as
Oh
well.
yeah,
I think it was who?
He
yeah.
said the exact same
I
thing.
think I think it was Sal Houdini who said he was
Henny.
this. Who's Henny?
Oh, Salahuddin. Okay. I'm saying the name wrong, but but I remember someone said the exact same thing. They go to
Yeah,
their cousin as well, which is
they
pretty
go.
cool.
Yeah, they go. I remember he was saying the same thing you said. I think he mentioned it on his own because like we were talking about music, and he says like I go to my cousin, but I think it's a lot of people probably go to their friends, but the fact that you go to a family member and you're like, yo, like check this out, is pretty much to me, it's
Mm,
commendable because it's like you're keeping the family in tune with what you're doing.
yeah. Oh yeah, he hears everything before anyone else. So we have a
So
whole
he gets
lot
that
that's in the
sneak
vault
peek,
that
eh?
he's heard. That's
Is there a new
always,
album coming out that we
always.
don't know about?
Oh man, that's a good question. We have. I got 4 projects. I got 4 projects that are ready to go, and I think 3 of them are gonna come out 2022.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we
I'm
have
ready.
um, we have 90s throwback, 2000s throwback, Malachi. Um, I have Malachi 2, the EP. So it's gonna be like right now 2, not official title yet, but we got right now 2 coming, and then I have heavily awaited Breadwinner 2 coming.
That's sick. Is all this material is because of like during COVID, so you're able to record more material at home? Is that the reason
Yeah,
why?
yeah. I'm able to get, I got my mic here. I do all this stuff at home, and then I bring it to the studio when I think it's ready to go, and you know, push it, get the
How
right
how
drums and kicks on that.
how hard? Speaking of COVID, it was obviously hard for a lot of creators, specifically like as musicians because you can't go to studios. How hard was it for you to like did you take time to self reflect, see your next moves, like because or were you able not to record as much because of COVID?
I bought a mic and set up immediately once it happened. I didn't know how long I was gonna like. We had a session that week once everyone started with the lockdown. We had a session that week that obviously got canceled. So immediately right there, it
Hmm.
was indefinite of when I was going to be back in the studio. So I was like learning how to produce and write. Not write, learning how to produce and engineer everything. So I'm just doing it all by myself. I was doing it all by myself in 2020, and I just kind of stuck with it during 2021 as well. So now I have all this music in the vault that I'm trying to get ready to just push for the next couple of years. I got a lot to come, and there's a lot of featured artists I'm in the works right now. Some of them are
Oh
classics, and
really?
some
Oh,
of
I'm
them are
hyped.
yeah.
I was gonna be my
That's
next
sick.
question if you had
That's
any
sick.
artists
That's
that
sick.
are featured.
What do you say?
I'm actually pretty much hyped. I actually my next question was gonna be to you, like, or my last question. I kept saying last question, but my last question was gonna be if you had any artists that were featured on your project. And you said yeah, so I'm actually hyped for that
Yeah.
to see who
Surprise!
you
Though it's
have
a
on.
surprise. I can't say. I can't say. This one is.
Of
Uh,
course, of course,
of
of course.
course, I can. You know, the
I'm just
hardest
gonna
thing is like
all I'm
you.
gonna say, and this is exclusively for you guys, so you guys are family. All I'm gonna say is if you like '90s music, you'll like these artists. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say.
I
guess
could give like
we'll.
a million guesses, but it's impossible.
I guess
I
we'll.
don't know if 112 is gonna be on the album,
I guess we'll.
or Drew Hill, but
Listen, he left us.
it's a long
He
list to start from. But
he left us with a cliffhanger. I guess we're gonna keep it with that. Malachi, bro, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yes.
I loved the entire conversation. I
Love it.
can't wait to
thank you
see
so
you
much.
kill it next year.
Appreciate you, man.
I'm waiting for those that album now. I think they're gonna make me go to sleep. It's like, who's gonna have on? Who's
Three
gonna have on?
projects,
Three projects.
three
Three
projects,
projects.
man. Three
Oh
projects.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
No, I appreciate you.
Make sure to let everyone know where they can follow you for one last time.
Malachi Sound on IG. Definitely follow the boy. We got a lot of music coming, so you'll get your sneak peeks and everything.
Yes, sir. If you don't follow him, bro, I'm unfollowing you.
Hey, you know.
Yes. And we have to have you. We hope after like maybe you drop your next project, we bring
Yes.
you back and talk about the new. Yes, sir. I'm excited for that as well.
For sure, man. 100%. I'm there.